So, how we doing, family? It's your boy, Yo. This is another episode of YoHoops. I go through every NBA game every day. Today is Wednesday, April 8th, and we have a 7-game NBA card. I'm going to walk you through my thoughts and let you know which sides I like, so please leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and let me know your favorite game in the comment section below. Without further ado, let me get into today's games. Recap yesterday, nothing special. I went 5-5 on the 10-game card. I was kind of happy it ended up like that because I started the day 1-4, so at least I finished it strong to break even. I'm now 27-26 on every game played in April. We've only got 4 days left in the regular season, so let's finish it like we started it in that win column. In our first matchup of the evening, we have the Atlanta Hawks in Cleveland taking on the Cleveland Cavaliers. Cavs are minus 120 on the money line, and the total is 236. I'm still high on this Hawks team, even after losing that last game against the Knicks. They kept it competitive down to the wire, and at the end of the day, they've won 17 of their last 20 games. That's mainly been predicated on their high-scoring offense, but we know Cleveland can score with the best of them. I expect it to be a competitive bout, but rather than taking a side, I'm looking at the total. These are two of the top 5 offenses in the league in terms of points per game. The Cavs average 119.6, while the Hawks average 118.4. That would set us around a 238 expected total, and when I look through both of these lineups, there's almost no defenders on the floor. I guess you could say Dyson Daniels, but none of the bigs are rim protectors. This one's going to be a track meet. We should see a race to 130. I'm taking the Hawks and Cavs over 236 as my first selection of the evening. Up next, we have the Milwaukee Bucks in Detroit taking on Detroit Pistons. Pistons are minus 2,500 on the money line, and the total is 221. The Bucks come into this one on the second leg of a back-to-back, flying from Brooklyn to Detroit. I mentioned it last night, but we basically reached that point in the season where teams are either focused on seeding or next year's #1 pick. The Bucks fall in the latter category, and they're sitting a majority of their guys tonight. I won't even list everyone off, but just know their entire starting lineup is either out or listed as doubtful. The Pistons have been hooping, sitting in the #1 seed in the East, and to make matters worse for Milwaukee, it looks like Cade Cunningham will be back tonight. Of course, he'll be on a minutes restriction, but I see them getting out to a hot start in Detroit. The 19 points is in play, but I can see them bringing in their bench in the second half and winning it by 17. I'm taking the Pistons laying the 11 in the first half as my next selection of the evening. Up next, we have the Minnesota Timberwolves in Orlando taking on Orlando Magic. Magic are minus 220 on the money line, and the total is 229.5. The Wolves come into this one on the second leg of a back-to-back, flying from Indiana to Orlando. They got the dominant win last night, so they were somewhat able to conserve minutes, and Anthony Edwards sat out, so he should be on fresh legs tonight. The issue for me is I trust the Magic at home, especially when Franz Wagner is playing. It's a relatively small sample size this year, but they're 11-6 in Orlando when Franz is playing. It's not even because he scores a bunch of points, but because they're able to fully lock in on their defensive rotations. These are two of the best defenses and weakest offenses in the league, so personally, I'm looking at the total. The Wolves should have trouble scoring in Orlando on no rest, and I can always count on Paolo to get me some missed shots. I'm taking the Wolves and Magic under 229.5 as my next selection of the evening. In our next matchup, we have the Memphis Grizzlies in Denver taking on Denver Nuggets. Nuggets are minus 6,500 on the money line, and the total is 243.5. This is the biggest spread the Nuggets have ever laid. They're only 1 game ahead of the Lakers in the 3rd seed, so I do agree that they should be locked in. That being said, I didn't forget that the Grizzlies just beat these boys less than a month ago. Memphis is sitting a majority of their guys tonight, so I definitely don't see them winning this one, but at the same time, I'm not rushing to lay 23 points. Rather than taking the side, I'm looking at a prop. I'm going to take the book's word for it that this game is going to be a blowout, and in that case, the Nuggets should be focused on building trade value for next year. The guy I've seen them focused on over the last couple weeks is Cameron Johnson. He fell off pretty hard mid-season, but right now he's taking about 11 shots a game. They more than likely want to move him next year, so it'll help their case a lot if he goes out there and has a couple 30-point games. Not to mention, the last time they played the Grizzlies, he had 20. I'm taking Cameron Johnson to go over 11.5 points as my next selection of the evening. Up next, we have the Portland Trailblazers in San Antonio taking on San Antonio Spurs. Spurs are minus 165 on the money line, and the total is 231.5. At first glance, I was surprised to see the Spurs as this short of favorites at home, but it made more sense when I saw the injury report. Victor Wembanyama and Stephon Castle are both listed as doubtful. For me, that makes all the difference. I can't count on Devin Vassell and Luke Cornett to win by more than a bucket against a Portland team that's clawing for playoff seeding. They're one game behind the Clippers, who are in the 8th seed, so they need every win they can get. With Drew Holiday, Danny Advia, and Donovan Clingan in, I say they upset the Spurs in San Antonio. It should tell you enough that the line is this short with all the money on the Spurs. I'm taking the Blazers plus the 3.5 and split on the money line as my next selection of the evening. Up next, we have the Dallas Mavericks in Phoenix taking on Phoenix Suns. Suns are minus 575 on the money line, and the total is 231.5. Both teams come into this one on the second leg of back-to-backs. The Mavs fly in from LA while the Suns remain at home. We saw similar outcomes last night. Both teams got their asses kicked. That's more concerning for Phoenix though, because they're still in the thick of the playoff race. I do see them winning this game, but 12 points is another story. They've looked a little rusty since Dillon Brooks' return, so rather than taking a side, I'm looking at a prop. I'm going back to my thesis of tanking teams building value in their young guys. I'm taking Cooper Flagg to go over 37.5 points, rebounds, and assists. Recently, they've let him loose with full control of the offense, and he's gone over this line twice in the last week with just his points. 45 against the Lakers and 51 against the Magic. That's a breakout. He's also active on the glass. I say he goes over, no problem. I'm gonna lock it in as my next selection of the evening. In our next matchup, we have the Oklahoma City Thunder in LA taking on LA Clippers. Thunder minus 270 on the money line, and the total is 226. Both teams come into this one on the second leg of back-to-backs. The Thunder go from Crypto to the Intuit Dome, while the Clippers remain at home. Both got dominant wins last night, but the Thunder are the younger team, so I expect the slightly fresher legs. I was worried about Kawhi on the second leg of a back-to-back, but when I look at his numbers, he usually steps up here. Granted, he sits a lot of these out, but when he does play on no rest, he's averaging 27.2 dating back to last year. I don't see Jalen Williams as a lockdown defender, especially coming off of injury, so rather than taking a side, I'm rolling with Kawhi Leonard to go over 25.5 points. The Clippers are in must-win territory down the stretch, and I also like the fact that they're at home. The only way they even compete here is if Kawhi steps up in a big way. I'ma lock it in as my last and final selection. And that's going to conclude today's video. Thank you so much for tuning in, guys. I'm now 27-26 on every game played in April. 4 days left, so let's make them count. I appreciate all of the support so much. I do this every day for free, so please leave a like and subscribe to the channel. It's your boy, Yo! And until the next one, I'ma catch y'all. Peace.